Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here. We're back from the All-Star break. We're back to talk through this Thursday 7-game slate. I hope you guys did enjoy the week off of NBA DFS. Obviously, there was no games on during the past week. Me personally, I didn't really play any other sports. Dabble into anything else. I really just kind of took the week off. Just kind of try to enjoy myself, get away from the computer, get away from social media, from Twitter and all that stuff. But we're back to talk through the slate, and I'm excited to break down the slate, excited to kind of get back to work for the rest of the second half of the season. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed all the content, for the first half of the season. Hopefully we can make some money the second half of the season. We're going to talk through Thursday's 7-game slate like we always do. We're going to go game by game. We're going to talk through each team, kind of break down what stands out to me, taking a first look at the slate. Recording this video on Wednesday afternoon, so I am getting this video up a little bit earlier than normal. The pricing, the salaries have been out for a while, so I figured I'd just go ahead and get the video made while the pricing and salaries are out. And I think we've got just about like all the news that we need. We did get some big news from Portland that was kind of unexpected. We'll talk about that later in the video. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoy the content. If you do, hit the like button down below, hit the subscribe button as well if you have not yet. And also, go check out the sponsor of this video, PrizePicks. So PrizePicks is a player prop-based DFS site where you're basically just picking the over or the under on players' projections. PrizePicks, they have had their props up for a while now. I think they posted their NBA stuff like early Monday morning or something. The props have been out for a few days now, so if you've been able to, kind of take a look at their board, see what's available, they have added basically their entire board is up right now. They're still going to have to post fantasy point projections, but points, assists, rebounds, PRA, points, rebounds, assists, three-pointers made. They have all that posted. Ton of options available. You can take a look at their board, make some picks for yourself. We did talk about this before the break. I will be making PrizePicks content, moving forward. So I will be actually getting a video up for the PrizePicks specific, slate. So we'll talk through some of my favorite picks on PrizePicks in that video. It'll be a separate video. Not this video to be a separate one. I'll probably get that posted, hour or two after this video goes public. So once you watch this video, check my channel, and there will be a PrizePicks video talking through a few of my favorite picks for PrizePicks for Thursday's slate, and we will be making those videos daily along with the DFS videos that you guys are obviously watching right now. So there will definitely be some PrizePicks content on the channel moving forward. Hopefully you guys, if you've been playing on PrizePicks, hopefully you've been able to make some money. If you have not signed up for PrizePicks yet, you want to check them out, go sign up over there. Use code NOAH. They'll match your first deposit. They will give you a free bet up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. And again, I'll be telling you guys, or giving you guys some of my favorite picks for PrizePicks for Thursday. If you want to check that video out, it'll be up on the channel, an hour or two after this video goes live. But yeah, guys, let's talk through Thursday's 7-game slate. We're going to start off with the Cavs and Pistons game. Start off on the Cleveland side. So looking at Cleveland today, there really isn't much that stands out from Cleveland. Cleveland, for the most part, is going to be fully healthy for this game. Lauri Markkanen was out for a while before the All-Star break, but it seems like he's going to return. Just looking at the player blurb on DK, JB Bickerstaff says Markkanen's looking good after he was a full participant in Wednesday's practice. So he basically got a full practice in Wednesday. I'm guessing Lauri plays today. Does he start? Probably. I would think they'd probably move like Dean Wade back to the bench. So I don't think there's going to be too much that stands out from the Cavs here. Darius Garland at 7,900, I still don't mind. I think if I had to play anyone on Cleveland, he would probably be the first guy I would be looking to. Just because if we see a close game here, and if Detroit can keep this game close, it's probably going to mean that Darius Garland's playing 35, 36 minutes. We've seen in close games this year he does get high 30s minutes. I think with Karis LeVert now in the fold, does that hurt Garland? I would think it gives him a little bump down, but he still has had some good games recently, even with LeVert, on the team. I think Garland at 7.9 is still a fine option. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are always playable. I don't think on this slate they really stand out. I think both are kind of priced where they should be, but against Detroit, it wouldn't be surprising to see one of these guys do well. LeVert, I don't really like right now. His role's it's not been that great. His price is too high in my opinion. He's been coming off the bench. Moving forward, do they start LeVert? I guess it's a possibility. I would think LeVert's going to be a starter, especially if, in the playoffs and stuff, assuming the Cavs make the playoffs. You would think LeVert's going to have a big role and he's going to probably start in the postseason. They were bringing him off the bench, though, for the game that he played before the All-Star break. We'll have to see after the break, do they start LeVert? Maybe. If he starts, I guess that's a little bump, but man, there's just not much I like from Cleveland today. I think Garland's the guy that stands out the most here. Other than that, not many Cavs stand out to me. Now, on the Detroit side, Detroit's actually a team I kind of have some interest in today. I don't love the matchup against Cleveland. Cleveland's been good defensively this year. They play really slow. But I think the pricing on Detroit, there's some guys that definitely stand out here. Cade Cunningham's only 6,600 on DraftKings. I think this price point is probably, a little bit too cheap for Cade. I think most nights Cade should be over 7K. I think for most of the season, he's been priced, above 7K. We've seen him up in the 8Ks for some slates. Even in a tough matchup against Cleveland, I think 6,600 is probably too cheap for Cade Cunningham. Always the one worry rostering Pistons players is that the Pistons are really bad. They get blown out a lot. You'll see games where Cade only plays low 20s minutes because they're losing by 40 heading into the fourth quarter. But if Detroit can keep this game close, they're playing at home, so I think that helps to keep it close. We probably do get 35, 36 minutes from Cade Cunningham. He's been around a fantasy point per minute player this season. 6,600 I think is a little bit too cheap for Cade, so I definitely like him on DraftKings. Right now when I'm making this video, Yahoo actually doesn't have their pricing up. I don't know when they're going to get their pricing up. I didn't want to sit around and wait for Yahoo to add their pricing, so technically there's not really going to be any Yahoo picks for today. But when the Yahoo salaries are released, obviously these guys that I'm plugging in that I like on DraftKings at first look, you could obviously play these guys on Yahoo as well. Normally the pricing on Yahoo is very similar to DraftKings, if not the pricing's a little bit softer on Yahoo. So I think Cade looks like a solid option. I think Jeremy Grant at 5,900 stands out as being a little bit too cheap as well. Kind of similar to Cade. If this game does stay close, we will see Jeremy Grant play probably low to mid 30s minutes. They were kind of limiting him a little bit, really ever since he came back from injury. But obviously after the All-Star break with a week to rest, I would think Jeremy Grant's going to be full go. He should be able to play more than 30, 32 minutes like he was playing before the break. I think we can see him get back up to 34, 35 minutes. And if we get 35 minutes from Jeremy Grant, 5,900, that's probably too cheap for him. So I think Cade and Jeremy Grant both look like solid options. Definitely stand out as being a little bit too cheap. Rest of Detroit, though, I'm not too excited about anyone else here. I think those are the two guys that stand out the most from this Pistons team. Moving on to the next game, though, Boston and Brooklyn. So Boston today, they're another team coming in basically at full strength. Robert Williams and Marcus Smart were out before the All-Star break. They missed, I think, a game or two, but they're off the injury report. They're going to be good to go for this game. When it comes to Boston, you got to start at the top with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. These are two guys that can, you can always look to roster. They are always in play. On this slate specifically, do either one of Tatum or Brown stand out as priority options for me? I don't think so. I think there's other guys I'd rather be spending my salary on that we'll talk about later in the video. But, Jason Tatum always has upside. Same with Jaylen Brown. I think given the savings, I might prefer Brown over Tatum if I had to pick one of the two. Matchup against Brooklyn, I think, is pretty good. Brooklyn's defense just hasn't been that good lately. I think until KD, Kyrie, Ben Simmons all get healthy, this Brooklyn team's really not going to be that good. And obviously today, playing at home, Brooklyn, they're going to be without Kyrie Irving. KD is still out for injury. Ben Simmons is not ready to play yet. I guess there's a little bit of blowout risk here. But if the game stays close, you'll get big minutes from Tatum and Brown. They're both playable. Nothing really else stands out from Boston, though. Robert Williams, I do like the matchup, but I think 7,400, he's priced where he should be. Derek White, Marcus Smart, Horford, none of these guys stand out to me. That's really it from Boston. And then on Brooklyn, so they're still without KD, who's out for injury. It's a home game, so Kyrie will not be able to play. I did see Shams tweet out that I think in the next coming weeks, Brooklyn is going to start to allow Kyrie to play in home games, but as of now, he still cannot play in them. So Kyrie's going to be out, and then Ben Simmons is still not ready to play yet. So they're basically going to be without their big three today. We've kind of seen this scenario as of late. We've seen these guys miss a few games. Ever since the trade deadline, we've seen them play without KD, Kyrie, Simmons. It means that there's going to be big roles for guys like Seth Curry, Cam Thomas, Patty Mills. I think all these guys, though, are kind of priced right. Seth Curry is 6K. I think in a tough matchup against Boston, 6K Seth Curry doesn't really stand out as a great play today. But, if this game does stay close, Seth Curry should play big minutes. He should get plenty of opportunity. He should have the ball in his hands plenty. He's been pretty productive so far with Brooklyn in the few games that he's played. So I think Seth Curry's playable. Same with Cam Thomas. Patty Mills actually finally had a good game right before the All-Star break. He was playing so bad. It was a long stretch of where Patty Mills was just doing nothing. It was 2 weeks where he just couldn't do anything. He was putting up less than 20 DraftKings points every single night. And then finally, right before the All-Star break, he had a good game. He shot the ball well. That's something that he's really struggled with is his shooting. His shooting percentage has been really, really bad lately. But maybe with a week to rest up, maybe, I don't know why Patty Mills was playing so bad. It could have been just because he was playing too many minutes. He's an older guy, so I don't know if he was really, I don't know if playing all those minutes every night was, not good for him. But with a week to rest up, maybe Patty Mills is fresh heading into the second half of the season. 5,300, I think Patty Mills is an okay option here. I still don't feel great about him just because we have seen a really low floor from Patty Mills. but definitely playable. Same with Seth Curry. Andre Drummond has been starting at center, but his minutes have just been, they've not been great. I mean, first game he started at center, he played 24 minutes, then he played 23, and the last game against Washington, he only played 19 minutes. We've seen, the Nets basically run like a three-headed committee at center. They're going to give minutes to Aldridge. They're going to give minutes to Drummond. Blake Griffin might get some center minutes. Even if Drummond starts again, like he probably plays 22, 24 minutes. I mean, Drummond, he's a really good point-per-minute player, so he can put up 40 fantasy points in 20 minutes, but I don't think I want to be banking on that. It's a tough matchup, 6,300. I think Drummond's priced where he should be, if not overpriced right now. Until we see him play more than like 22, 24 minutes, he's going to be a tough guy to roster at 6,300. So really like Seth Curry, Patty Mills, I think are the two guys that stand out here from Brooklyn. They're just kind of low-owned options for me. Do want to mention that James Johnson, he did get late scratched on last week, right before the break. I think it was their Thursday game last Thursday. He was projecting out as a pretty good value play. He did start the game before against the Knicks, played 32 minutes, was really productive, and then he got late scratched last week on Thursday. We don't really know if James Johnson is going to start for this game. He's off the injury report, so he's good to go. He should be playing, but we'll have to wait and see what their starting lineup is. If James Johnson does start like he did in their last game that he played in, I think he does stand out as a decent value at 3,500. But until we get a Brooklyn starting lineup, that'll just be something to kind of wait and see on. So that's really it for this game. Next one, Atlanta and Chicago. Atlanta today, I think Trae Young at the top here for 9,900 does look like a pretty solid pay-up option. I mean, Trae, we know the role is going to be good. We know the minutes are going to be there. He's going to play, 36, 38 minutes if it's a close game. Chicago's defense, without Lonzo, without Caruso, their defense, especially against the backcourt and against guards, hasn't been nearly as good. So I don't think the spot's really that bad for Trae. This should be a fairly fast-paced game. It should be a close game as well. If this game does stay close, we know that Trae's probably the reason why. We know he's got massive upside. I think 9,900, I think Trae does look like a pretty good pay-up option on this slate. I definitely like Trae kind of at first look. He's for sure one of my favorite pay-up options. Definitely my favorite play from this Atlanta team. We'll have to pay attention to news on John Collins. John Collins right now is just listed as questionable. He was a limited participant in Wednesday's practice. They basically held him out for the final 3 or 4 games right before the All-Star break. To be determined if he plays today. If John Collins plays, we don't really know if he's going to be like limited or anything, so this will just be something to kind of wait and see on. Even if Collins plays, I don't think I'd be too excited about him. I think if he does return, that will hurt Clint Capella. Clint Capella was a guy that I did play a good amount for those 3 games that John Collins was out, and he really wasn't that good. He played 31, 31, and 23 minutes, only had 30, 21, and 24 DraftKings points. He really wasn't that productive. His minutes were good, though. He did play 31 minutes in the 2 close games that they played in, and then last game against Orlando was a blowout, so he only played 23 minutes. I think if John Collins is out again, Capella will probably play 30 to 32 minutes, and Capella normally is a really good point-per-minute player. So far this season, his production hasn't been as good, but I think if John Collins remains out, Capella at 5,800 is still a playable option. The rest of Atlanta, I'm not that excited about. Bogdanovich and Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, these guys, where they're priced at, I don't think really any of them stand out as great plays. So that's really it from the Hawks. I think Trae's the guy that definitely stands out the most, that I do like quite a bit as a pay-up option. And then on the Chicago side, so Chicago, they were without Zach LaVine for a little bit before the All-Star break. He's going to be back for this game. So I think with LaVine now back, that's going to definitely hurt guys like DeRozan and Vooch. And I think above 10K, especially with LaVine back now, I don't think DeRozan or Vooch stand out as great pay-up options. Now, obviously, DeRozan, right before the All-Star break, he was just on a crazy good tear. He was just smashing every single night, was playing huge minutes every night. I think LaVine coming back is going to take some usage away from DeRozan. It's going to make him not as good of a pay-up option. I think at 10.7, he's probably a little bit overpriced right now for LaVine being back. Same with Vooch at 10.1. I think LaVine's actually the guy I like most from the Bulls. He's only 8,700. So far this season, when it comes to production and usage rate and points per minute, these guys have all been fairly similar. LaVine, Vooch, and DeRozan. So I think given the savings, I would just rather go to LaVine. 8,700 for LaVine is probably a little bit too cheap, especially when you factor in how much more expensive Vooch and DeRozan are. Very similar to, like Trae. If this game's closed, LaVine's going to play huge minutes, 36, 38 minutes. He's been, productive player this season. I don't think there's really anyone that stands out from the Bulls as a great play today, but I think LaVine's probably my favorite of the big 3, given the savings and given his price difference between DeRozan and Vooch. Then you got Kobe White and Ayo. I think with LaVine back, neither one of Kobe White or Ayo stand out as great plays, given their 6,700 and 6K. Probably priced where they should be, if not a little bit overpriced. And that's really it from the Bulls. I don't think there's anyone else I'd be going to here, so we can move on To the next game, Memphis and Minnesota. Looking at Memphis today, I think John Morant at 10-4 is a fine contrarian pay-up option. Matchup against Minnesota, I think, solid. Patrick Beverley's probably going to be chasing John Morant around. Patrick Beverley, at this point in his career, I don't think is really like an elite defender. And John Morant has just shown, massive upside, has been able to succeed even in tougher matchups. If this game stays close, we know we're getting big minutes from Ja. Should be a fairly fast-paced game. It should be a high-scoring game as well. Should stay close. I think Ja at 10-4. I think it's more of a contrarian option. I probably would rather go to Trey. We're going to talk about like Devin Booker, who I like quite a bit. You have Jokic on the slate you can go to. But I think John Morant at 10-4 is totally playable. Triple J and Desmond Bane at their price points, I'm not big fans of. Steven Adams, his minutes have been really good lately. He played 36 minutes against Portland. In their last game, played 32 against the Pelicans. Really funny, I was looking at his game log. So against Charlotte, Steven Adams put up 42 DraftKings points in 16 minutes. Just absurd, points per minute, almost 3 fantasy points per minute. And then in their last game, he plays 36 minutes and he puts up 16 DraftKings points. I mean, what the hell? The dude plays 16 minutes and averages like 3 fantasy points per minute. Then he plays 36 minutes and averages like half a fantasy point per minute. It's just, I don't know, man. I mean, the minutes for Steven Adams, that's what looks good right now. It's that the minutes were trending up. I think in this matchup against Cat, like they're going to want Steven Adams out there. Steven Adams, as long as he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he will get around 30 minutes at 5,600. I don't hate him. He's probably my second favorite play from Memphis behind Ja. But there's not a ton that I love from the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies are a fairly deep team. They do run a pretty deep rotation. But I think Ja and Steven Adams are both solid options. That's really it, though, from Memphis. And then on the Minnesota side, so Minnesota, they're basically fully healthy. When it comes to Minnesota, when they are fully healthy, I think the big three is where you're really going to be looking to with Cat, D'Angelo Russell, and Anthony Edwards. I don't think any of these three guys stand out as like great plays today, but I think Anthony Edwards, 7,500, him being the cheapest of the big three, kind of makes him an appealing tournament option. Now, we have seen a really, really low floor from Anthony Edwards this year. We've seen a lot of just really, really bad games from him. I mean, 10 DraftKings points against Toronto, 20 DraftKings points against Charlotte. But man, the massive ceiling is always there for Anthony Edwards. I mean, he can put up 50, 60 fantasy points any night. He's a guy that does offer big-time upside. When his shot's falling, he can put up really, really big games. This game should be played at a pretty fast pace. I think Anthony Edwards does offer a big ceiling here. I think his floor is still fairly low. It's always tough to predict which one of Towns, Russell, Edwards are going to have the big game on a nightly basis. But given the price difference, given how Edwards is the cheapest of the three, I think Anthony Edwards might be my favorite play from Minnesota. Russell and Towns are both fine. I don't think really anyone else stands out though from Minnesota, like Beverly and Vanderbilt at their price tags. I'm not huge fans of. So that's really it for this game. I think we can go ahead and move on to the next game. So Phoenix and OKC, this is one I have a lot of interest in, especially on the Phoenix side. So Phoenix is definitely, they're going to be shorthanded heading into this game and basically like the rest of the regular season. We did get word over the All-Star break, actually like right before the All-Star game, that Chris Paul is going to be out pretty much till the rest of the end of the regular season. He should be ready for the playoffs whenever the playoffs come, but he's going to miss the rest of the regular season. So without Chris Paul, I mean, Devin Booker's role should be really, really good. His usage should go way up without CP3. His minutes are always going to be there. We know Devin Booker's going to play really, really big minutes on a nightly basis, probably close to 40 minutes in close games. We see Monty Williams be okay playing Booker 40 minutes a night. So I think Devin Booker at 8,800 looks like a really, really good pay-up option today. His price tag really didn't move at all. I mean, he was 8,700 last slate, and now he's 8,800 today. So really no price change with even CP3 being out. The pricing for this slate was obviously posted fairly early, so DraftKings really wasn't able to adjust for this CP3 news. I think Devin Booker at 8,800 looks like one of the better pay-up options today. He's a guy that I have a ton of interest in on both sites. If you want to play him on Yahoo, you can play him over there. Again, the salaries right now for Yahoo are not posted, but when they do get posted, if you want to go to the guys that I talk about on DraftKings, you want to play those guys on Yahoo, obviously you could do that. But I think Devin Booker is going to be a big beneficiary without CP3. I think Cameron Payne is going to be another guy that really benefits without CP3. We saw Cameron Payne play really well last season, especially late in the year. I know there were some games in the playoffs. I think CP3 missed a few playoffs games last year because of protocols, and we saw Cameron Payne play really well in those games. He's been a really good point per minute player when he's been given opportunity. And you would have to think moving forward without CP3, Cameron Payne is probably going to have a really, really good role, whether he starts or comes off the bench. I think he's going to play 25, 30 minutes a night. They might even play him upper 30s minutes. Now, he was injured before the All-Star break. He's been out for almost a month now with a wrist injury. But looking at the player blurb on DraftKings, it does say here that the the Suns expect Payne to be ready to play in the team's first game following the All-Star break Thursday at Oklahoma City. So Cameron Payne is expected to play for this game. Does he start? I don't really know, but I think regardless, his minutes should be pretty good without CP3, and we've seen Cameron Payne be really productive when given minutes. So I think at 4,200, he stands out as one of the best value plays on this slate. I like him a ton. I think Devin Booker's a great pay-up option as well. And, guys like DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, do their roles really change without Chris Paul? I don't think so. But I think Ayton at 6,900 in this matchup against OKC, this is a pretty favorable spot for Ayton, going up against a Thunder team that really doesn't have any good defensive big men, whether it's, Isaiah Roby or Derek Favors. I mean, they just don't have any, good rim protection. They don't have any good rebounders. I think this is a spot where Ayton could definitely dominate on the boards. So I definitely think DeAndre Ayton at, 6,900 does look like a pretty appealing option here. Now, his minutes so far this season have not been great, and especially ever since he returned from injury, he was basically playing low 30s minutes. Some nights he wouldn't even get 30 minutes. I mean, basically for the 2 weeks that he was out, or the 2 weeks he played right before the All-Star break, I don't think he ever played more than 30 minutes. Most minutes he played, Philly, he played 30, and then against the Clippers, he played 30. We haven't really seen Ayton play, 35, 36 minutes now. With a week to rest, following the All-Star break, does Ayton see more minutes, rest of season? I think it's a possibility. If he does get 34, 35 minutes here instead of 30, I mean, there's definitely big-time upside for Ayton at only 6,900. So he's probably my third favorite play from Phoenix, behind Booker and behind Cam Payne. Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, I don't know if their roles really change at all. I don't think they really stand out on this slate. I think Cam Johnson, there's a possibility that maybe he could start. For now, I'm just going to expect that Cameron Payne starts, but they might want to stagger Booker and Payne, so maybe they bring Payne off the bench. If they do bring Payne off the bench, that probably means that Cam Johnson's starting. So if Cam Johnson does wind up starting at 4,300, I think he'll be a pretty solid value. He's going to get minutes regardless, probably 25, 28 minutes, whether he starts or comes off the bench. But if he does wind up starting, you would have to think he probably plays over 30 minutes. And at 4,300, Cam Johnson would be another guy we could consider for value if he winds up starting. But there is definitely a lot to like from Phoenix today. Without CP3, I think Booker, Payne look great. Depending on starting lineup, if Cam Johnson starts, I'd like him for value. Ayton, I think in this matchup has upside too, and then that's those are the guys I'm really looking to from the Suns team. Now on the other side of this game with OKC, I mean there's not much I really like from OKC. Pretty much all the guys that were out right before the All-Star break are still out, except for SGA. SGA will be back for this game, but they're still without Dort, Kendrick Williams, Ty Jerome, Muscala. Those guys are still out. JRE still out. SGA, with him back now, I think that definitely hurts Giddey, hurts Bazley. It hurts these other guys enough to where they don't really stand out at their price points. Plus, the matchup against Phoenix is not good at all. SGA, if this game does stay close, he should play big minutes. He has been out for almost a month now, so coming back from an ankle injury, is SGA going to be on a minutes limit? We don't really know. If he is limited, then obviously you're not going to play him. But if SGA is full go, I think is a low-owned contrarian option. He's an okay play. Especially if you're going to be rostering 2 or 3 Suns today and you want to run it back. You want to run it back with someone on the OKC side. I mean, he would be the first guy I'd look to. But Giddey and Bazley, at their price tags, don't really stand out. Trey Mann doesn't stand out anymore with SGA back. I'm not excited about many Thunder today, and normally that's always the case. The Thunder are not a team I really ever get excited to roster. Guys from SGA is probably the one guy that stands out from OKC just as a low-owned play. But that's it for that game. We can move on to our 2 late-night games. We'll start off with Denver and Sacramento. So Denver, you guys know the deal for me, at least when it comes to Denver. I really just like to go to Jokic here. I don't really ever roster Will Barton or Aaron Gordon or Monte Morris whenever Jokic is healthy. I think the only times I've played Barton, Gordon, and Morris this year have been when Jokic has been out. When Jokic is healthy, he just dominates the usage on this team, so it's really hard for those other guys to really put up massive games, and it's always tough to predict when they're going to have good games. But Jokic is the guy that we know we're getting from Jokic. If it's a close game, Jokic is playing 35, 36 minutes. Sacramento defensively, I don't worry about them at all. Sabonis has never really been an elite defender. I think this is a spot that Jokic can definitely have a ton of success here. He's really expensive at 12.5, but right now there is some value on this slate. You have Cameron Payne. There could be maybe some value that opens up. I think if you want to pay up for Jokic, he's by far one of the best pay-up options on this slate. I definitely like Jokic a ton. My favorite play from Denver by far. Rest of the Nuggets, I'm not really excited about. I think Jokic is the one guy that stands out here. And then on the other side of this game with Sacramento. So Sacramento, I think there's 2 guys you can look to, and that's Sabonis and Fox. I'm not really excited about anyone else, like Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell. The rest of Sacramento, I'm not really that interested in, but I think Sabonis and Fox, if this game does stay close, Sabonis and Fox are both going to have really good roles. I mean, we've seen Sabonis so far with the Kings. Hasn't been as productive as he was in Indiana, but, last game against the Bulls, right before the All-Star break, he did play really well in that game. 53 Draftkings points in 37 minutes. He finally got up to, high 30s minutes, which was something we weren't seeing at first. When Sabonis was first, starting out with the Kings, he wasn't playing a ton of minutes, like 33, 34. He wasn't getting like 38, 40 minutes like he was playing with Indiana. But last game, they got Sabonis up to 37 minutes. I think if this game does stay close, we probably do get like 36, 37 minutes from Sabonis. Don't love the matchup against Jokic. I think there's a little bit of foul trouble risk here. But man, if like this game does stay close and Sabonis plays his full minutes, we know he can, he can stealth the stat sheet. He can score, he can rebound, he can get assists. He does everything when he's on the court. Always offers a big ceiling. And at 9K, I don't think we're really paying the premium for Sabonis. So I think 9K Sabonis looks pretty solid. I think 8,300 De'Aaron Fox looks pretty good as well. I mean, De'Aaron Fox's role should be really good rest of season. With Halliburton no longer on the team, with Fox basically their primary ball handler and their primary point guard, his usage should be way up. We've seen his shot attempts be way up ever since the trade deadline. Taking 20 plus shots a game. Last game he played 41 minutes. His minutes have been really, really high. He's been getting 36, 38 minutes in close games. I think both Sabonis and Fox are solid options here. I have no issues with either one. Those are the two guys I'd really be looking to on Sacramento. Outside of Sabonis and Fox, I don't think there's anything else. I don't think there's anything else that stands out from this Kings team. So we'll talk about the last game of the night real quick before we do end the video. So Golden State and Portland. Looking at Golden State, pretty good matchup here against Portland. When it comes to Golden State, this is never a team I ever get very excited to roster guys from, just because Golden State, they're pretty deep. They have a lot of guys that are going to get minutes. They run a deep rotation. But the main guys like Steph and Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, in this matchup, I don't hate going to any of these guys. I think Steph at 10-2 always offers a big ceiling. We saw Steph just go nuts in the All-Star game, putting up 50 points. I know that's pretty much meaningless for today's slate, but Steph is one of those guys, and we saw that in the All-Star game. Like when his shot is falling, like he can just put up massive, massive games. He's going to keep shooting the ball if his shot's falling. We know he has a big ceiling. The only issue with Steph is that he is a fairly scoring-dependent player, so on the nights where he's not shooting well, I mean, you'll see him put up 37 DK points. Obviously, that was a blowout, but 27 DK points. I mean, he can put up really, really bad games, but the ceiling is still there. I do prefer guys like Trey and Jokic, like even probably Sabonis I'd rather go to, but I think Steph as a low-owned tournament play is totally fine. Klay Thompson should be fine to play 30, 32 minutes here. Following the All-Star break with a week to rest up, you would have to think his minutes should be fairly good rest of season. He was already playing around 30 minutes a night, right before the break. Would have to think he, continues to play around 30 minutes, if not a few more. 6,700 though, I think Klay's probably priced where he should be. Andrew Wiggins at 6K. I mean, he's going to play big minutes if it's a close game, but I really never get excited to roster Andrew Wiggins. I don't think he just doesn't have that good of a ceiling. He's going to be good to get you like 30 DraftKings points, but is Andrew Wiggins going to be a guy that at the end of the night you have to win? It's really unlikely that happens. So I think Klay's fine. I think Wiggins is fine. Steph's probably my favorite play from Golden State. Not too excited about anyone else, though, on this team. Golden State, again, they just run a deep rotation. They play a lot of guys. So the bench guys, I'm really never excited to roster from the Warriors. But that's it for Golden State. Now, moving on to Portland. So Portland's kind of similar to Phoenix. We saw Portland, some big news came out of Portland right before I started recording this video, and just, a couple hours ago, we got word that Yusuf Nurkic is actually going to be out for pretty much the rest of the regular season. He's going to be out for about 4 weeks, which I think, 4 weeks will take us to close to the end of the regular season. I mean, without Yusuf Nurkic, with Dame still out, obviously CJ is no longer on the team, we should see really, really good roles and really high usage for Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, Justice Winslow. I have no issues going to any of these guys today. Anthony Simons, right before the All-Star break, was playing really, really well. Those 3-4 games right before the break against the Knicks, against the Bucks, the Grizzlies, playing huge minutes, 37, 35, 34 minutes. Super productive, 50, 47, 46 DraftKings points. He's been taking a ton of shots. His scoring has been way up. He's been getting plenty of assists as well. He's going to have the ball in his hands plenty. He's basically their primary point guard right now without Dame and with CJ not on the team anymore. And obviously, taking Nurkic off the floor, Nurkic is a fairly high usage center, so that should just open up even more usage for a guy like Anthony Simons. I think 8,100, like Anthony Simons, I have no issue going to him at that price point. I think Josh Hart and Justice Winslow are both solid options as well. Josh Hart's been pretty good in the few games he's played with Portland ever since the trade deadline, especially the last 2 games. His minutes have been really good, been playing high 30s minutes. Last 2 games was really productive with 50 and 41 DraftKings points. You would have to think without Nurkic, there's just going to be more opportunity for a guy like Josh Hart. I think his rebounds should be really good without Nurkic, and we're going to talk more about that in my prize picks video. I like Josh Hart's rebound prop today. That's something I'll definitely be taking on Prize Picks. But yeah, I think Hart's a pretty solid play. I think Justice Winslow should be really good. His rebounds should probably go up without Nurkic. We've seen him be super productive, been able to stuff the stat sheet, getting points, rebounds, and assists. Just been doing a little bit of everything. Ever since Portland inserted him into the starting lineup, and ever since he's been with the team, he's been really, really productive, been playing good minutes. We'd have to think that continues here. So I think all three of those guys are very solid options. And then value-wise, we're going to have to wait and see what the starting lineup is. My best guess is that Trendon Watford starts in place of Nurkic. Watford's only 3,400. It's to be determined how many minutes he plays here, but we'd have to think if he does wind up starting, he probably gets, 24, 25 minutes, could play even close to, 30 minutes if he's playing well. The price tag, though, 3,400, that's going to make Watford stand out as a really good, just overall point per dollar value play. He's going to project really well with the salary. This is chalk that I'm fine eating. We'll definitely have to pay attention to starting lineup because I think maybe there's a possibility they start Greg Brown at center. Maybe there's a possibility that they start Drew Eubanks. We actually did see Portland sign Drew Eubanks over the deadline. Eubanks right now is not in the Draftkings player pool, but if Eubanks winds up starting, that would obviously hurt Watford. But I think expecting Watford to start in place of Nurkic at 3,400, Watford is going to stand out as a pretty good value play on the slate. You would have to think if he starts, again, he plays probably mid-high 20s minutes, 3,400, super, super cheap, really good point per dollar value. Definitely like Watford on DraftKings, and then on Yahoo, I'm sure he's really cheap over there. Whenever they release the salaries, if you want to play Watford on Yahoo, you can definitely do that too. But yeah, that's my breakdown of these 7 games. Post All-Star break. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well if you have not yet. Go check out the sponsor of the video, Prize Picks. Again, go sign up for Prize Picks. Use code NOAH when you do, and Prize Picks will give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. And as we talked about at the beginning of the video, I will be making Prize Picks videos rest of season. I'll be getting those videos up, every day. Basically, after I make my video that you're watching now, I will post my Prize Picks video. That video will probably go up a couple hours after this one goes up. So definitely check that out if you're playing on Prize Picks. If you guys do want some of my favorite plays on Prize Picks, I will give some of those out in the video. I do also provide a lot more content on Patreon. So if you want all of my favorite Prize Picks plays, along with the entries that I'm playing myself, I give those out on Patreon. All of my other updated DFS content is provided on Patreon as well. You can check that out. It's linked down below in the description. But yeah, guys, best of luck on the slate. Feels good to be back from the All-Star break. Hopefully we can make some money tonight. Wish you guys the best of luck. We will see you in the next video.